Well, good afternoon and welcome to this edition of Community Voices Uganda on Civic Space TV. I am Philip Mulisa. I welcome you, and this episode we are discussing the amplifying of leadership of persons with disabilities for an inclusive and sustainable future. And that has a background that on the 3rd of December 2021, and indeed every other year we are celebrating or commemorating the International Day of Persons with Disabilities. And today we really want to make sense of this subject, look at how this leadership is impacting on the persons with disabilities, how these particular individuals are living in the communities, and what the communities are doing to see that these people that may need a bit of help are assisted, but also their contribution to the community itself. I am Philip Mulisa, and before we get into the depth of that conversation, I will first call you on to say hello to our viewers, and later we continue with the conversation. I will start with you, Kule Expedito. Kindly talk to our audience and we can get on with the conversation. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Philip, and everyone on Civic Space TV. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are. My name is Kule Expedito, and I'm Ugandan young youth living with a disability. So I look forward to this conversation and my contribution towards the sustainability and the future for the persons with disability. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Kule Expedito, for that introduction, and indeed joining the conversation. We can't wait to hear what you have to share with us on this particular subject. Mr. Katumba George, good afternoon. You're welcome to the conversation.
Good afternoon and good morning, wherever you are, and excited to be part of this discussion. George Katumba Sempanchi are my names. I'm a person living with a disability, but also a disability mentor and coach for young people, and excited to be part of this discussion to see how we can amplify voices of young persons with disabilities for the inclusive development. Thank you. Over to you, Philip.
Thank you so much, Mr. Katumba George, for that, and indeed we can't wait to hear what you have to share about this particular subject and indeed for the future. Thank you so much. Sabiti Ivan, good afternoon. Welcome to the conversation.
Yes. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sabit Ivan. I'm the Vice Chairperson of Elgon Foundation for People with Albinism, and also a counselor, division counselor, representing many people with disabilities. I'm so glad to be part of this conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ivan. We're also very happy to have you here today. We can't wait to hear what you have to share with us in terms of the experience you gathered as you live in this particular community and what it means for people in that particular category. And last but not least, Mylene Gamba, you are welcome. Greetings and how are you?
Good morning. Yes, good afternoon. Good evening from wherever people are participating in from. I am honored to be part of this meeting. Deal with issues of disability leadership. I'm humbled and looking forward to a good discussion that will give solutions to our current challenges concerning leadership and people with disabilities. Nice to meet you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Gamba, for joining us today. And indeed, we are happy to hear from your experience and indeed what can be done to make sure everything is moving on smoothly in our country, in the world, specifically for persons with disabilities. Now, colleagues, a few days ago, the country and indeed the international community was commemorating the International Day of Persons with Disabilities. That is on the 3rd of this very month, December, and there was a topic to that, a theme for the entire world, and they said, amplifying the leadership of persons with disabilities for an inclusive and sustainable future. And those are very powerful words, inclusive and sustainable. When you talk inclusivity, you are talking about having everyone on board, and sustainability, that is continuity into the future. I want to hear from you, and I'll start with you, Kule. Oftentimes, we talk about things that we do not understand so clearly, not just in Uganda, not just in Africa, but across the world. When someone says there is a person with a disability, what exactly are they saying? And indeed, how is this person presented in our community? Yes, Colin.
Okay, thank you, Philip, for that question. And I'm glad that I'm sharing my perception about persons with disability in the community. Okay, when someone is referred to as a person with disability, it simply means he's differently abled, not in a way how each and everyone is made. So we have different ways or different types of disability, and most of the people have considered physical disability because for it is obviously seen. But we have had so many other types of disability that are there, and others are mental, others are you can like we have people who are short-sighted. You have we call them sight impairments and mobility impairments. Maybe those ones that are physical. So when someone is, it is now a norm that the world is advancing, and currently the persons with disabilities in different communities are being given their honor, and they have been known. There is some awareness that has been made to some people, not like the previous way, because in the previous way, people had different mindset on persons with disability, that maybe it is a curse to the family, maybe it is an abnormal thing that cannot do anything. So others were talking about like these are the albino, that maybe they are not human beings, they worship the devil. There's a lot of things that has really come along with the disability, but I thank the generation that we are in now. People are being told, or people are aware now about the persons with disability, how they are like other people, how they should be treated as well. That's why even such kind of topics are coming in, of inclusivity and inclusivity for the PWDs or persons with disabilities, for a sustainable future, meaning that these people are catered for in that very manner. So they need also to be maybe those ones who are still having a mindset that maybe these persons with disabilities should be separated or discriminated in that very way. They should be informed that these are normal people, and they can do what other people can as well do, depending on their types of disabilities. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kule, for that information about who a person with disabilities, but also what it means to be that particular kind of person. I want to come to you, Mr. Katumba. Yeah. Please build more on that understanding of a person with disability, but also take me to the community and paint a picture of a person with disability surviving in a particular community, say where you are, and how they are able to live with other members of the community. Yes, Mr.
Thank you, moderator Philip, and my colleague Kule. And I just want to amplify a little bit on our understanding of who is a disabled person. And just as he has said, we disabled people, I'm a disabled person. we do have Persons with Disabilities Act 2022, and it talks about functional limitation. That means that we have a limitation in functioning of certain parts of our bodies. And so we do have an impairment. So it's important to recognize that impairment as a disabled person. And according to the Persons with Disabilities Act, the different types of disabilities that have been enumerated in that. But also to define disability is that we define it in the context. You may find that there are certain disabilities, like in developed countries, there's what we are calling increasingly invisible disabilities. For them, because of advancement, again, in terms of technology and able to assess, there are quite several invisible disabilities. So, but overall, look at disability as that functional limitation that impairs somebody to function in certain aspects that do happen. And so we now bring in two elements that come in. We have the models of disability that try to explain the understanding. And so we believe that the social model explains disability very, very well, in that we consider the society as the disabling environment. And so the society creates barriers. We recognize that we have a functional limitation, like Dr. Naboth. I was with him recently somewhere in Ikomi, I saw him. So if the society is able to provide, for instance, Dr. Naboth, accessible environment, is able to access a car that is modified, we believe that the impairment or the disability kind of disappears, doesn't go away, but it reduces the impairment, or the disabling environment is minimized. In other words, is able to do whatever he wants. And so back to the theme of today is that we recognize our disabilities. I recognize that I have a physical disability. I suffered from polio at a tender age. But so the environment should enable me to live just like another human being. And that's where we believe now in the human rights perspective. And if you recall very well, the 1948 Declaration of Human Rights, all of us are equal. And so, I mean, my blood is red. Philip, also your blood is red. And so there shouldn't be any discrimination. We have the same air we breathe, oxygen. You need food, you need food. We need to be at the table where decisions are being made. And that's the emphasis of amplifying voices of the leadership. We need to be at the table where decisions are being made. And that's why we are saying amplify leadership of people with disabilities for inclusion. And so I needed to clarify that very, very well, so that then we get to understand. We recognize that we have an impairment, but the society again comes in to put in disabling factor, the discrimination, the negative attitudes, the inaccessible environment, limited access to education, limited access to employment opportunities, limited access to leadership opportunities, limited opportunity to access to resources, just like any other human being. Because as I've mentioned, first is that we are human beings first, and then disability is number two, and all these other things. So in terms of the barriers, as you said, surviving in the community.
Thank you, Mr. Katumba. And, I think we're going to come back to the barriers a little later, but thank you for helping us understand this subject so well. And it's important we get to understand these things before we discuss and break them down into simpler opinions that may affect what happens around there. Dr. Naboth, you're most welcome to the conversation. I want to pick from you the medical perspective of a person with disability. As a medic, what does this mean? And perhaps if you could share with us how it comes about briefly. Yes, Dr.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I am sure you can hear me, right?
Yes, I do.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry, I'm in a car. This meeting found me on the road driving, and I was reminded by my sister that we are starting. So I had no choice but to just wait, get a parking. I'm in the parking somewhere in Uganda, in Mengo. So I'm sorry. Now, let me just make some correction. I'm not actually a medical doctor. I'm an academic doctor. That's why I'm called Dr. Naboth. I have PhD. But nevertheless, I have an understanding of how it comes about. I found my brother deliberating on the aspects of disability, and he has facts. Maybe to add on is that we have close to more than 110 types of disabilities so far. 110, and each has its own cause. So this will be too short for me to deliberate on the cause of disability. But maybe to wrap it up, is that there are those areas that I think I need to bring the attention of whoever is listening to me, whether you have a disability or not. The prevalent cause of disability of recent, one, I was actually doing research, I was shocked. In Eastern region and some part of the North, we are having a specific type of disability that can be prevented. I'm actually looking forward to meet Minister of Health. What happens, because hospitals are far away, when our mothers are ready to give birth, they are put on the bicycle, they are put on borders, and by the time they reach the hospital, the child is already tired, and they give birth to a child with brain damage. So you will realize that quite a number of young children with disabilities have similar problem. It is something I need to bring to the attention of Minister of Health. That aside, polio is a disease that many of you are aware. I'm a victim of polio as well. I suffered from polio at the age of 7 years. That crippled my legs, and it took me to coma for 1 year and 3 months. That is a long story as well. So causes of a person with disability are quite enormous that cannot be deliberated on today. But there are those that can be avoided. One, immunize your children. Rotary Club approached me to be their ambassador on polio campaign, of which I've been doing, but my message is simple. Take your children for immunization. Polio, my brother will tell you, is not a simple disease because it has no medicine. It has no medicine. And the only thing to do is to immunize your children. Then there are some other things that causes disability at any age, borders. You know, it's something that you don't, many people are not taking for as a serious case. I can assure you, if you want to know how borders have increased the level of disability in Uganda, you go to Mrago. They have even a specific word for borders. The accidents, there are other diseases. So there are quite a number of causes of disability, of increasing disability that can be avoided. There is something that I wanted to collect on. We are having a problem of data in Uganda. I and my colleague, Dr. in Chambogo, were facilitated to do a research. And we discovered that actually the right data for person with disability in Uganda is 12.4 of the total 46 million. 12.4% of 46 million is the number of persons with disability in Uganda. Interestingly, UBOS recently came up with a figure that is not right. I don't know where they got it from, but they are talking of something like 3.7 million. The dilemma with that, they are going to underplan. They are going to plan for the number of people that is less. What does it mean? People will be left out. Do you see the challenge we're having now? The question I've been asking, do we have the right data of person with disability in Uganda? So now if we have contestation in data, where will planning come from? Where will the approaches, where will be the methodologies, the initiatives that helps person with disabilities come out of poverty come from? When you have wrong data, it is a problem that must be addressed as soon as yesterday. And in fact, in addition to that, we are going into voting. If, for example, I'm going to stand as an MP 2026, if I get 5 million votes, yet UBO says the person with disability is 3.7. Do you see where the problem is coming from? Something is wrong. We need to rectify it.
Thank you so much, Naboth, for that. appreciate that deliberation and key things you talk about, including data for persons with disabilities, but also highlighting that there is over 100 forms of disability that needs to be paid attention to. It is very important to give us that perspective. Thank you so much. I want to come to you, Ivan. Look, you are the vice chairperson of the Elgon Foundation of People with Albinism. Take me to the world of the albinos. What does it mean to be one? And indeed, how do they go about life in the communities where they live? Yes, Ivan.
Yes, moderator. First of all, I want to thank my colleagues for their contributions. The truth is, we have so many types of disabilities in the world, and almost each disability has its cause. Back to the question, my name is Abit Ivan, and I'm a person living in. Now, allow me, moderator, take you a bit back to what causes albinism. Now, an albino, first of all, is a person who lacks melanin in our skin, hair, and then the eyes, whereby we have almost 3 types of albinism. And the Y look like this. That is a pure albino with a white color. This is one type of albinism. Now we have another type whereby you can be like as you are, darker skinned, but your eyes are brown, like for a person with albinism. And if you observe the eyes properly, they go on shaking, like mine, as you can see. That is also another type. Then we have those ones with the spots, white here, black, white, black, white, black. That is also another type of albinism. Now, what causes albinism? That is lack of melanin in our skin, hair, and also the eyes. Now, in our communities, the way we live, actually, it is not simple, what I can say, because whenever we pass, most of the younger people there, someone can just pour a word, very bad word. You pig, you albino, such abusive word. We hear a lot of abusive words, which are not so good to us. And most of us, when they hear those words, they react. Mostly those ones who are short-tempered. But to me, being a leader, I have to make sure that I keep my qualities, one of my qualities of a good leader. So I've been also going through those such situations, but there is the way I handle them. Like for example, recently, there is a child of my neighbor who always plays with my children. Now, one time I was passing, then the child told me, "Yuna Magoya, Gwena Magoya." So I asked her, who are you calling? That you. So I asked her, what are you meaning by Namagoya? that is a person who looks like you. So I had to take a lecture to take that child, at least to give that child a lecture, know what albinism is, what is albinism. And I even told her that in our family, I'm the only person with albinism out of the 8 children, and I'm the 4th. So in our communities there, we still have a lot to do. What I can say, mainly sensitization and awareness. That is
Thank you
our
so
biggest
much.
task. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
Should I continue?
Ivan. Thank you so much for that account about albinism and indeed how it comes about, but also the kind of life you have to encounter on a daily basis in the communities you live, and indeed speaking to how other members of society perceive whichever condition they see or they observe in their neighbors and their friends and their family members, and indeed everyone as a part of the community. Thank you so much, Ivan. We get to hear more about that, but also how we can prevent it. Thank you. I want to come to you, Mylene. Mylene, talk to us. This question of persons with disabilities, what is the experience in your community, and what does it look like to be a person with disability? Yes, Mylene.
Yes, glad to be part of the conversation, and thank you all the previous speakers for sharing your experiences and your learnings. Me, I'm a person with disability, specifically spinal injury due to a road traffic accident. And I've been with this injury for 21 years now. It is the most expensive life to live because you do not have control over some parts of your body. To be precise, blood and bowel management for most people. And then also the level of injury matters. Those whose injuries in the neck have to depend on a helper for the rest of their life. Sitting, going to bed, transferring to the wheelchair, literally everything is done for you, even feeding you food because your hands don't function. Mine is paraplegic, so my injury is quite lower on the ribs, where the ribs stop. So my arms are functional, but I have no control over my legs. And the sensation that I have is painful. So when it's so hot, it's troubling for me. When it's so cold, it's double pain because it feels like someone is ripping out my muscles. So to encounter that, I always move with a shawl, sometimes with a hot water bottle, so that I can contain the pain. Because not even the tablets can do away with it. It's something I have to live with for the rest of my life. And my biggest challenge was in the first years of injury. Every time I went to the doctor and complained about the nerve problem, I'm changed from this painkiller to the other painkiller all the time. I was never taught that I need to study my body to know what causes pain so that I can see how to manage it. So in the first 2 years of my injury, I suffered from ulcers, severe ulcers, because I was always on painkillers. So until I said, now I am tired because even the doctors cannot tell me what is wrong with me. Let me see how to manage my body. Sorry, I'm traveling. I'm going to work as well. So I'm in a car.
It's okay.
Yeah,
It is
so
okay.
when I left Mulago, I was lucky enough to meet people of my kind. And that helped me a great deal because some had had the injury longer than me, and each one shared their experiences of how they are managing their blood, how they are managing their digestion system. And that is what helped me cope. I learned a few techniques from different people and used them. Someone did not. And that's how I've been surviving for the last 21 years. My biggest challenge is that everywhere I have to move with a helper. So it's very easy for me. And on top of that, sometimes the taxi guys will tell me, you have to pay for the wheelchair. So that means from where I stay to town can take me up to 25,000. No more taxi. No more taxi. And then sometimes, you know, the weather changes. When it has rained, I miss out on my appointments because how to get to the road, my home is not near the main road. So life is sometimes you have these infections because you've used, it's something my child suffer a lot with. Me, I have learned the basics of taking water and always steaming myself, so it kind of protects me. And then on top of that, I'm given the name. I'm not smiling, but it's something we have to juggle with on a daily. Then we have attitude. When we go to hospital, from colleagues of mine who have been, they ask a question like, who is that unkind man who made you pregnant? Really? I have a right to have kids because I'm a woman, so I'm entitled to be a mother. And then also I've been to one private hospital where someone came and just stood by the door and kept operating his phone, a doctor. Instead of listening to what I'm saying, he was showing me attitude. So I ended up not going in for treatment because I didn't know how to handle it. I'd gone there for a specific interview on something, but I also needed medical care and he was giving me attitude. So it's always like every struggle a normal human being goes through. People with disability, the systems in place are discriminative. The laws are there, but they're not being operated with. If I talk of all the construction work that has been done in Kampala from 2017, I can count for you 20 buildings in the middle of the city that have no ramp, that have no lift, and the toilets on the third floor. And I am supposed to compete with that as a person who is interested in business. How do I survive on a daily? So, and then when it comes to education, there are few places that are accessible for us. Also there you go there and the lecturers have attitude. So you either wear a tough face and continue or drop out because you have your family challenges as well. You have financial challenges and then you at school out of maybe a bad journey to school and then, so everywhere you fight to fit in when it comes to disability. And then nowadays, what is disturbing me is our leaders. When we're discussing issues that we're going through, that's how they talk. That has been the talk all the time. But what are you doing there? We sent you there to address our issues, cases, and now you're part of those who are mocking us. They always talk with vigor. They're passionate about their thing. We don't need such comments. We need you to kind of sit with us and find solutions to these things, because when I was in MOOBS, I asked for a ramp, a simple ramp. It only needed like maybe 20,000, getting pieces of wood, putting them together to help me go down a step near where I was residing. But for the 3 years, I was being told there's no budget. There's no budget to handle that. Yet every end of year, the lecturers has had an end of year party. The guild has funds to do whatever meetings they want to do, but there was never that 20,000 to put for me a simple ramp to enter Berlin Hall. So some of these things we are facing, it is because of the system that is discriminating. And then when we talk about the Electoral Commission for Disability, trust me, you don't want to go there. It is corrupt right from LC1 to Parliament. I'll give you a scenario. 10 years back, I tried to get into the system of leadership. I wanted to be LC5 for people with disability in my district, representing people with disability. So when I went there, I collected the signatories that were recommending me. Guess who came to check through who qualifies to vote and not to? My opponent. Wasn't telling me, this one will not vote, this one will vote. And then when she saw that I'm gaining, like I'm picking ground, then she was like, you know what? You're still young. You go. I'll give you the next season when you come. But the next season, I was out of the country. I'd gone to study. And then from there, because they are corrupt, the few that are elected from LC1, LC2, up to the sub-county, then to the district, they are bribed when it comes to times of election for members of parliament. This I have evidence. These people collect them from the to a hotel. Recently, someone shared with me, they took them to Kenya, the last elections. Bought them whatever they wanted, each one of them. And after that, brought them to a hotel in Kampala. Just for the night, the next day was voting. And after that, they were given money and each one of them went back home. So when will I join the politics to change things? When does the youth have an opportunity to leadership? When does this woman with disability take courage to be part of the leadership so that we can change the way things are? Because each one of us has a different vision. If all of us were given an equal ground to participate, to put our contributions, we would build Uganda, all of us would enjoy it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mylene, for such a powerful submission. First of all, thank you for the courage, but also secondly, again, for Civic Festivity, CCG, and indeed the entire community of Uganda, we take heart to apologize on behalf of the community, for the people that end up going on the bad side of trying to look at persons like yourself as people who should not be equal partners in society, people who enjoy all the other rights other people have to enjoy, and indeed we say that should not be happening in a progressive society like Uganda and indeed any other society world over. Thank you so much, Mylene, for that, and indeed it is very powerful and something to reflect on, and indeed I hope the people out there that have the power, the voice, the signature to change a thing or to please, such a testimony should have a lot of impact on your decision making and indeed see that we change a thing or two. Thank you so much. I want to come back to you, Kule. Look, we've had a lot of these challenges that you mentioned, but look, and again, Mylene talked a bit about it. We have members of parliament, we have councillors, we have chairpersons, we have now specific to the PWD sector, but also we have the general leadership of leaders who are supposed to cater for every citizen of this country, from the presidency to chairperson LC1. These people are supposed to make sure every citizen of this country is comfortable. What is the challenge with our leadership? That they don't seem to recognize some of these very pressing challenges of the peoples that are at the extreme end, at the receiving end of discrimination, not being given what they deserve, not being given the assistance. You hear such a testimony of a lady who has suffered a lot of pain for over 20 years and society is not responding. What is with our leadership in school?
Thank you very much, my brother. My sister, when you were talking, you realized I was just nodding, and she's not alone. All my life, I've spent my entire life advocating for the rights of persons with disability, right from the time I left campus up to now. I don't want to say I left campus because I'm still teaching there. But I can assure you, stigma is real. And it's not all about you only. My brother Ivan, my sister Mylene, whoever has a disability has a story. And given the opportunity to listen to that person, you will understand the world we are in. How can I crown it all? It is sick. We need hygiene. We need hygiene in all angles. Let it be from the leadership of person with disability or any other leadership. I remember at one moment I wanted to contest in other section. And they were telling me, but you have your section. Why can't you stand for person with disability? What does that mean? Categorization in itself. I can assure you, stigma is real. I have heard, I'm called Dr. Naboth. By the grace of God, I am in this car. I drive it myself. But I will come out of this car. People are looking for the driver. By the grace of God, I got married to a beautiful girl, beautiful woman now. We're blessed with a number of children. But don't be shocked. We are moving out now. She comes out of this car of mine, then you will hear say, you think she loved him for who he is? No, she loved money. She loved because he has a nice car. So we are not only discriminated, but everybody that even is associated with us is discriminated. What should we do? You're asking about the law. Uganda has one of the best laws on the land. I found my brother talking about the Person with Disability Act 2020. It is one of the best laws. Interest yourself in it. You'll be shocked. It talks about every aspect of person with disability. It talks about marriage, talks about relationship, talks about finances, talks about health, it talks about education, talks about infrastructure. Any sane society would pay attention to it. I can assure Uganda will be a best place for a person with disability to live in. But they don't. Where is the problem? Should we call it political will? No. My brother George was talking about it. We call it societal structures. The society framed us in a way that even by naming us, it is an abuse. They look at a person who cannot hear well, Mboyo Kasiru. What is the meaning of Kasiru? Kasiru is the person who does not understand. My brother Ivan, Mbonamagoye. And you even wonder where they get words. In my tradition, my culture, where I come from, there is a proverb that if you want to abuse your child, you give him a bad name. Whoever will be calling you by that name will be abusing you. So we are basically struck by a number of factors. The society set up. I normally say that I swam in this dirty waters of stereotypes, fallacies, and misconception. We are surrounded by that. What should we do? Advocacy. Do not give up. Once you are given an opportunity, talk about it. The laws are not only the Ugandan laws. Recently, I was in the US and United Nations Conventions on the Rights of Persons with Disability. What does it say? Uganda is the signatory. My brother was talking about the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. It's an old law, 1848. Is it 14? 14, no, it's 1848. It's a very old law that Uganda is a signatory. So if we are to go by law, my brother, the law is clear. The problem is, what should we do? How can we implement the law? Recently, a policeman stopped me, and when he told me, hey, your third party is expired. He had not read it well. Say, come and see. When I jumped out, I said, hey, even you are disabled. Think about that. Hey, you are even disabled. So that is, now if a policeman, traffic policeman can say that, how about the young boy, the young girl who met my brother Ivan? Because those are his father. What should we do? Let us not hide from the realities of this world. Persons with disabilities have been there, are there, and will always be there. That is point number one. They have been there, they are there, and will always be there, no matter what you do, because you can't eradicate it. We must create an environment friendly that I do not regret why I was born in a country. Some of us have tried our best to go to school and study, and wherever you go, maybe your presence covers the disability, but somebody will remind you, even when you are Dr. Naboth. My first story in class, I entered in with my file to teach. I have a PhD. I'm taking steps to the pavilion to speak, and all of them are saying, fresh avayo, fresh avayo. The person they are calling a fresher is their lecturer. What did I do? I had to get my marker I didn't look at them, focused on the board. I said, my name is Dr. Naboth Cole. I'll be taking you through this paper. And then below that, I put my qualifications. There are quite a number. By the time I finished, everybody was quiet. But not everybody has the same approach. Do you realize that there is a norm, a fallacy that all persons with disability, banyivu, but there is the way they term it. No, let me give you the answer. We have been fought left, right, and center that even the small space that is available is being encroached. So when they encroach in it, you don't think about rationale. You think about defending yourself. That's why they call them banyivu. Babu Sungu. No, it's not. It's because the society has squeezed us that we have no space to hide. What should we do? It starts with you and me. It's what I talk about every day. Let us talk about stigma. Let us try to say, it is the same approach our president used about AIDS. He talked about AIDS and said, Mujakufa, leave AIDS, Mujakufa. AIDS was reduced. Let us talk about disability. And some of us with disability, as I conclude, my brother, I got this statement from my mother, who has never even gone to school. She told me in my struggles of stigma, she told me, Naboth, be happy for who you are, or be unhappy for what you'll never be. You have disabilities, be happy for who you are, or be unhappy for what you'll never be. Why? Because you can't change it. We are living with it. My sister, Mylene, I mean, it is the life you have to live till God calls you back. We need to fight with these people to make them understand. Recently, our minister was saying that, look, don't blame these people by not treating us. We need to teach them how they can treat us. I submit.
Thank you so much, Dr. Naboth. Again, very powerful submission, trying expedito. Look, every other time government speaking about its policies and programs, it talks about having special catering for persons with disabilities and indeed many other special interest groups, including women, including youths, including many other groups. And they tell you if it's the parish involvement model, there is a 15 or 20% for persons with disabilities. If it's a Myoga fund, there is a percentage. If there is Nabagagal or something like that. On ground, are these things practical? Do we have these reservations for persons with disabilities? And indeed, how easy or hard is it to access these advances from the government?
As of now, it's not been easy because I'm always in the field. I meet these people, and it's not easy.
I think, Doctor,
can I am the one who is giving
Oh, sorry.
Okay, thank you so much, Doctor, and the rest for your submissions. I want to add my voice to yours that as persons of disability, we not only face just physical challenges, but also economical, social, and political and environmental dimensions as well. So what I'm first going to give is to give some sort of a recommendation on what the doctor said. So I want to affirm that understanding and addressing these challenges is very, very, very crucial for creating a more resilient, a more sustainable and inclusive future for the persons with disability. Coming back to your question, Mr. Philip, yeah, there are so many things that have been branded the PDM as what you have said. Yes, they are there, but as even given in the Act of Persons with PWD's 2020 Act about public life participation in such kind of things and economic terms and whatever, that all should be in position to participate because we are one and leaving no one behind. Let me bring it in that way. So that's why there's that category for the persons with disabilities. But out of my surprise, so many things have been coming out just blended and what is happening around the corner of the parish development model. Yes, they are there, and maybe they that is how the plan is. But implementation of such a kind of programs is still a very challenge to my country, Uganda. They are there, they say they are there, but when you reach at the local level, you don't find anything there. Like, for example, in my village, I tried also to apply for that PDM to see what happens there, to see the spaces. I had something that I was after, not even after that one. I was not much that interested in it, but I wanted to see what is happening around the corner. But I want to assure you that people have gotten money like twice or thrice. I have not been in position to get any single coin. There's a lot of corruption there. And maybe the president could have specified it that let it be there like that. Yes, it was. But at the local level, so we are seeing that there's a very, very, very big challenge there. So implementation is very key, and following up on these programs. They can come, but when it reaches also the local level, the parish chiefs, maybe those leaders at the local level, they don't consider those persons with disabilities. You will find that other people have different disabilities that they cannot even be in position to access centers like where they are registering from such kind of the beneficiaries. So they are being left out. They will tell you we need to see that very person, even if you're a caretaker of the person, and you find yourself maybe you're not in position to bring that person on board. And there are so many other things like accessibility. How they've told you that the madam was speaking, Maile was speaking about accessibility, how she cannot access some maybe buildings and whatever in Kampala, and that is very true. You may find that where the registration is going to happen from, you are not in a position to reach there. I give an example of developing countries like the US, developed countries like US and other countries. For them, they have specific ways on how they are treating such kind of persons with disabilities, of which I feel like as Ugandans, as Africans, we need also to borrow if as we are advocating for this and bringing such a kind of topic of a person's with disability. In Kampala, I have not seen for wheelchairs. And yet these people should be also considered. Maybe there is an activity that they also want to go and watch football at Nambole, but you don't find the paveway for wheelchairs from the city center. So these people, we are being left behind. Some other things we are not considered in that very manner. So these people who are bringing in activities of the past development model, maybe NADS and other programs, they are not really reaching the very real beneficiaries. If you try to make a follow-up, you will find that less than even 50% benefit from these branded activities that you are referring them. And coming to the leadership form, yes, we have a leadership form, but I find myself like having 5 MPs out of the 556 MPs that we have in Parliament. It is not that all bad. However, they were not so strategic in selecting these things. Given the fact that the youth are left behind in this very norm, I have to be clear, categorically clear on this matter. You find that out of the five, there are 4 regions that you pick: Central, Western, Eastern, and Central as well. So we are always having one national, one at the national level. How I feel and how I can be happy that that one should be left out, at least for a youth. They are not being a guest at contesting at the central, in the different regions. But we look at it as not being so easy as how Dr. has told you that it is not easy to contest. They will always bring in these other issues, but at least if it is specifically allocated for the youth, they say that at the national level, the member of parliament who is going to act or who is going to make the 5th should be a youth. We would be very, very happy, and at least we would know that we are fully represented. Otherwise, I thank you and I submit.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Expeditor, for that account. I want to come back to you, Mr. Katumba. Look, we've talked about these challenges. I want to pick from you. When you look at how government is structuring its things, leadership is structuring its things, and as an educator, what kind of information one, do people who find themselves in a position of having a specific disability, but two, then other people who think they're actually okay, they may not be okay, but the entire community, what kind of information are you giving them as a mentor, but also what information should they have to see that we harmonize the relationship between all members of the community and looking forward for sustainability? Yes, Mr. Katum.
Thank you very much. Definitely my colleagues have spoken, and I just want to allude to the fact of the challenges. One is that for me, as a person who has lived with a disability for several years, one is it takes time because of the social stigma, but one, I want to encourage colleagues with disabilities, first you need to accept yourself. And in the sessions we normally give or highlight is that one, understanding yourself. It's key. As Dr. Naboth has said, you are not going to take away the disability. And for me, even when I'm mentoring and coaching you and you're telling me you are going for the pastor to be prayed, I say, well, it's fine, but I don't think. A disability is really an impairment, and it's hard for it to go. You need to accept, and the first thing is, well, the minute you accept yourself as a disabled person, then the rest will be kind of, you'll start understanding and appreciating those challenges. So that's key. That's number one. And then two, continuous creating awareness among persons with disabilities. When we started the disability movement some years ago, the issue was to encourage formation of the organizations of persons with disabilities. For me as a person, when I left Makerere, my disability is physical disability, and not until I met somebody in Udipu who was crawling, that's when I appreciated myself that, oh, I was crying joy that I have a disability, but my colleague's disability is much more difficult than mine. Because then I imagined, as Mylene was sharing, how do you use a toilet when you are really, and there's Market University toilets, or toilets generally across the higher institutions of learning, where colleagues do poo-poo on top, they urinate anyway, and so you are crawling. And so that fact of appreciating yourself is number one. And so we used to encourage the formation of these associations so that people can get together, feel together. It's the same family, and share lessons learned. And then we move out into the space where we call on Center for Constitutional Governance. Where are the disabled people on the table in the organization? Where are they? Here we are. We push ourselves in, and then also start demanding for inclusion. Otherwise, the struggle is on us. And so for me in the sessions, I expose the young people with disabilities to opportunities and tell them, please go for it. I even tell you that, Ule, you are the next speaker in the UN. And once there are these opportunities, take advantage of them. Definitely, I want to allude to the fact that overall, globally, the environment is talking about inclusion. It will take time. We have a lot of structural barriers, but we are saying, okay, let's push and be there. For instance, Center for Constitutional, this is a very great opportunity to bring disabled people, to educate you, to understand and appreciate that, yes, they're also human beings. We need to give them a space to talk to other colleagues who listen into this program, apart from the political discussions that normally happen on the line. So this is the key, so that then our listeners, who are very many, they can understand, yes, we have colleagues who are disabled, they have the same rights. We need to bring them on board, but also to ensure then that the issues we are talking about, leave no one behind, Agenda 2030, it cannot be achieved when, again, the structural barriers. And I want to allude to my colleague who talked about the PDM. I've reached out to say, and the PDM is good, but it has barriers. For instance, a disabled person is required to be part of the meetings that happen at the village level. And many of the disabled people don't attend these meetings. First of all, information doesn't reach them. So then how do you get them? But it's very clear. They have put guidelines, 10% PDM, even the attendance list for the parish chiefs. They have a column for a disabled person. How many disabled have you reached? But information doesn't reach them. And so this is the struggle we are now in. We're talking about advocacy. Thanks for this opportunity, Center for Constitutional Governance, talk about these issues so that then we get the change. And we also need more ambassadors. We need more role models of the likes of the Philip. to be part and appreciate that, you know. Dr. Nabo talked about causes of disability. One of the key causes of disability is when a woman is pregnant. Malaria, for instance. Malaria. And I talk to women that, please, when you're pregnant, watch out to malaria. That's key. Secondly is gender-based violence when a woman who is pregnant is assaulted. Because then you are carrying something that you don't know. It's and anybody can get that. If Philip, you are getting somebody to marry, please treat that woman with a due respect, because the disability is expensive. Marina is able to explain disability is expensive. Us who are living with disability, we know what we go through. You know, so I will not wish anybody to get a disability. When you sit on a border, just a colleague who is riding, you please slow down. Don't do, and it's all right to tell a border rider, because it's the industry we are in, it will never go. So it's you to tell the border rider, please slow down. Let's use the farthest route, provided they will reach safely, you know. These are things that we need to continue to talk to our colleagues and understand. So one, we need to understand our disability and appreciate it. And then we need to join OPDs, organizations of persons with disability, so that then we can have our voice pushed. Because when you are alone, you cannot push. But when you are like 10, 5, you can push your voice to be heard. And then we can also reach out and ensure that then we are included into the services. Thanks, Philip. And over to you.
Thank you so much, George, for that submission. Ivan, I want to come back to you. You see, you talked about how the experience around your home and how the people look at you and the stereotyping that happens around there. Places of work are one of the places where every human being spends a lot of time. First of all, given the skills every other person will have, and if we speak to the community you lead, the albinism community at your place, are they given opportunity to work, and how is the experience like in these spaces of work? Ivan.
Okay, thank you so much, moderator. And also I want to thank my colleagues for those encouraging words and also advice they have given to me. Thank you so much. In our communities where we stay, I want to assure you that people with disabilities, we go through a lot of challenges, either in the hospitals, in schools, and also in other government, let me say public facilities. We go through a lot of challenges. Like, for example, you find a person with albinism when he's going to the hospital for the service. Most of the doctors and the nurses, they fear to work on us. Like last time, I felt sick. I went in the hospital. Now everyone was like, they think that our skin is so delicate. They think that they can inject me and then they get problems, which is not true. So we still have a lot to do, mostly. What I can say, sensitization and awareness creation. At school, when I was in primary, I loved to sit nearer the blackboard. And almost all people with albinism, we are short-sighted. We have a low vision. So we need to sit very nearer, closer to the blackboard. So whenever I go in front to write my work, children used to stone me. Get away, you're obstructing us. What they abuse? So such challenges, it has caused most of our people with disabilities not to study. And I want to tell you that if you compare the number of people with disabilities who are educated and those ones who are non-educated or illiterate, those ones who are not educated, it is somehow high, because there are some people who cannot endure such situations. So they end up remaining home. And also, we have a challenge of low self-esteem, mostly to people with albinism, because of the myths which is around. Some parents, we discover that they are still hiding our younger children down in their houses, thinking that if they expose them to us, or if they bring them out to us to join us, they might end up losing them, which is not true. Which is not true. So, as I tell you, as I've been telling you, moderator, we still have a lot to do. And in me, where I stay, most of the people used to say that, Ivan, for you are not a person with a disability. Then I asked them why. That you have 2 legs, you have the eyes, you can do work. So they even asked me, what now show us your disability. So I used to ask, yes, please. So
thank you. Finish up.
Okay, so it was it took me a lot of time to explain to them my disability. And then on the side of PDM, my brother and the other government programs, we people with disabilities, actually when the government is preparing such programs, they make sure that they are inclusive, whereby we are given a percentage. But I realized that in my community, people with disabilities are not getting a good service on the side of PDM. So I even went in the council and I asked my CDO why. She was like, people are getting, why, that, what? I even asked her, please give me at least the list of those ones who benefited. So it was like an assignment for her, and she promised to give me the list, but up to now, I've never seen the list, whereby I have to go on the ground, me myself. I move door to door to make sure that I collect those ones who have not benefited from PDM and other government programs. And then I ask them, why are these people not benefiting? We start from there, because when you observe properly, you have been left out with people with disabilities. And most of us, as I told you earlier, we are not so much educated, whereby that one who has gone to school and is at least having something to do, life sometimes it can be somehow easy for him or her. But the other one who is on the ground, what I can say, deep in the village, we cannot do heavy work. And it is well known, if you are not educated and you don't have any job, you have to do your kali. That means heavy work. So people are suffering a lot down there. So it is now our task, what I can say, to continue talking to the public, doing sensitization and awareness creation, and also advocating for our rights. But all in all, I want my colleagues to continue with this very work or job, what I can say, of informing the public, so that we can create change, or we can make change in our communities. And on the side of jobs, my brother, I want to thank God that me at least I'm somehow doing something. But a person with albinism to get a job, or a person with a disability, it is very, very, very hard. It is very hard. Like me, I'm here in town. Someone can, a friend can request that, Ivan, I had a maid but went. Can you get for me one? If you tell her or him that I have, that is there, but is a person with albinism, they just tell you, that one, no. If you ask the reason why, that children will fear them. So, don't know, but getting a job, it is very difficult for people with disabilities, unless if you are educated and you use your papers. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sabit, for that account. It is a very powerful and touching account, and hopefully things can change for the better. Colleagues, I want now to, as we come closer to the end of our conversation, I want to give you time to now speak to the government, speak to community members, speak to the civil society, speak to whoever you want to speak to. What would you want to see done in your community, to see done in this country, so that they make your life easier, your life simpler, your life more progressive as a person with disability? Put out your message and hopefully it shall be picked up, and you never know, implementation may come and may reach your way. I'll start with you, Maide. Speak to these people and ask them of what you want to see for yourself and in your community. Yes.
Thank you so much, Philip, and everyone else that has been part of this program. My humble appeal is to, first of all, people with disabilities, like my colleague said earlier, accept yourself, accept it has come and move on. When you stay mourning, then you lose out on opportunities that would have made your life easier much earlier than the time you spent mourning. Then to the communities where we are, I want to speak to the parents. Some parents are too protective, and I understand where you're coming from, because even sending kids to school is not easy when the school is not catering for their needs, when the school is not accessible, when the school does not understand their disability. But I still ask of you, talk to the teachers, create a few friends for your child, but let the kid go to school, because the only treasure we have as people with disabilities is our head. If your head is functioning well, then you're good to go. You can do so much. And for those who have arms, it's an added advantage. So don't sit on yourself. Don't let your situation describe you. I am bitter and angry with men and women who go to the roads to beg. 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. What is it that you're begging that you cannot achieve in those 3 years, in those 4 years? If you buy a packet of sweets, which is 5,000 from Chikubo, and you sell it on the streets, I will gladly buy it at 10,000. But I will not touch in my pocket to give you 500, 1,000, because you demean yourself. You give the public a bad image about against people with disabilities, that we are meant to be beggars. We are not. Our heads are functional. Your arms may not be working well, but your head is functional. What can you do? What idea do you have? And where is that person that is willing to work with you? You have to look for that person by creating a network, by studying your environment, the community where you are at. Who is that kind person that can help you achieve your dream? You will have to be the one to get out there, to look for that person to live your dream with. Even if not a marriage partner, maybe a sister or a brother, or even someone in the neighborhood that has someone that God
Mylene, you can hear me? Sorry about that. Mylene is experiencing some connection challenges, but she'll be back to conclude on her point, and we see how we conclude with her. Expedito, your call to government, to community on what you think should be done to make sure life is made simpler for people for persons with disabilities. Yes.
Thank you so much, Phillips. To start with, I want to start with the CBOs and NGOs that are advocating for inclusion. Yeah, we thank you for this work that you have defined, that you are advocating, and this time around, it is time for action. And therefore, I urge you all that all of us, let everyone where he or she is seated, see the community he's in, how many persons with disabilities with disabilities am I having on my team? Employers, how many employees do you have? NGOs and CBOs, as you are advocating for this, how many people do you have on board? Because nothing about us without us. I know where it pains most, so I can be in position to explain to the public how I feel and how persons with disabilities feel, because I myself, I experience it. Miley already told you how we experience, or how we know better ourselves more than any other person knows. I was surprised. Okay, another call is to the national unity of
Ule, you can hear me? Ule. Well, I think Kule is also experiencing network challenges. We are glad Mylene is back. Mylene, please, you can conclude on your point as you got interrupted by the network. Yes, Mylene.
Yeah, I was saying
We're experiencing some. Mylene, you can hear me?
that each one of us has a destiny helper, and that if we look hard enough, we will find that destiny helper. And then lastly, to government, do not shelve these laws. You made them to guide you, to guide the communities on how to better lives for all of us. So please let these laws be implemented. That one specifically goes to KCCA, the physical planner for Kampala, and every other district that is coming up as a city. The physical planners, the engineers, everything that goes wrong in the city engineer work, in the construction, you are to blame, because you have the power to approve the plans, you have the power to license those buildings to be operational. So if I find it operating when it's not in the right way, like it's not under the guideline of the Building Control Act, you are the one responsible for that mistake. I cannot blame the engineers of the site or the owner of the building. The city engineer, the physical planner, you are the problem. So up your game, pull up your socks, do the right thing, because my mentor told me that when disability doesn't catch up with you, old age will. So either way, you might find yourself in my shoes. So prepare the environment that all of us find it comfortable and helpful. And to the communities, we don't need, should I call it pity? We need empathy. Put on my shoes. Don't pity me. When you pity me, you're not helping me. You're not building me. I'm always disagreeing with my dad. He has put a special room for me, self-contained and everything. I'm always disagreeing with him. I'm telling him I'm not going to be part of your problem. Your old age is already disturbing you, so I'm not going to sit home and ask you for airtime, sijui what. Let me work when I'm tired. I'll come home and I'll enjoy this comfort. But for now, I'm still strong to work. I am a woman, I would have sat home and said, after all, I have a disability. No, I have challenged myself to go out there, make as much money as I can, and change lives of those under my care. And I'm proud to say that I've been able to support my siblings. I've been able to support my nieces, my nephews. I'm not earning so much, but I just have a kind heart that I forget my own challenges. But that gives me reason to live. So as persons with disabilities, your life is not about you. Much as you need all this help we are asking for, what is your contribution to that community? When you are participating effectively, when you're doing something that someone else is not doing, you'll be recognized and you'll be appreciated. And even when you come for leadership, it is easy because your work is evident. So step out of your comfort zone and do your part. The rest, God will handle. Thank you so much for this time, for God and my country.
Thank you so much, Lady. What an inspiration to every other person out there that is sitting on themselves and indeed looking at you take on these traits. And I hope many more people are going to be changed and move forward to improve themselves, courtesy of this particular testimony and indeed encouragement you give. Thank you so much. Expeditor, I'm glad you're back. Please conclude on your point briefly and move.
Okay, thank you. I was concluding and network interrupted me, but I was trying to give in a point like let people who knows us or we ourselves, because I don't think the people who came to check us, we don't have a person with a disability or persons with disability that qualifies to do that role. And most of us, we fail to get the opportunity for that bursary. And maybe I can't tell why, because all of us that were there were disabled, and I thought maybe I would get it just because amongst the people that were coming from my district, I come from Kasese, I was the only person there. And in the community, even people who sat for their senior six during that time, I saw many disabled persons there. But because these schools are not informed, so no deep, we come to you when you have challenges, and this is a very challenge. This thing you should take it very serious, of aware of sensitizing these institutions. There are always those programs for government scholarships for persons with disabilities, but these people, they don't know how to apply for them. You even reach at a school, there's no teacher who is maybe disabled, so they can't know about these things. So they take them slightly, but they are very, very important. Though at the implementation level, we have also seen such challenges there, but we cannot forego saying that please, deep reach out to these people and other organizations that are there. The African Disability Forum, let us see how best we can be in position to help these young people there so that they can achieve what they really want to achieve in future. Then lastly, I want to talk about the organizations and CBOs and NGOs that are doing this work of voicing or trying to bring in persons with disability on board. I want to really thank you for that. And you make us get hope and confidence that we are also part of the team, and we also have value, and we value to many more people in the society. Indeed, which it is, and which is the rightful thing. Big ups to CCG, and we thank you for this.
Thank you so much, Expeditor, and pledge to continue doing this and more as we move in this line of inclusivity, but also making sure there is a sustainable future for persons with disabilities as equal partners in our societies. Yes, Mr. Katumba, your call to whoever you want.
Thank you very, very much. My colleagues have said quite a lot. I just want to say one or two things, and then we'll round it up. One is we are demanding space on the table. We are demanding space on the table to use Center for Constitutional Governance. Reach out, 1 or 2, 3 people with disabilities can be on your board, on your team. So space, not only you, this is a call across all agencies. We want our voices to be heard, we want to be on the table. Second, we need to get young persons with disabilities as part of the programming. To be part, wherever you are working, wherever you reach out for a workshop, wherever you reach out on everything, ensure that the key target, one of the targets you have are people with disabilities. So invite them to be part of the process. 3, at policy level, in the organizations and the MDAs, we are saying, please, inclusion is the way to go. get policies that are pro persons with disabilities. We are part of the bigger community. We are 1.4 billion globally. And then lastly, my call is to government of Uganda, please implement the policies that you put in place. Let them leave the paper to be the actions now that we need. So I want to thank you very much, Philip and the team, for inviting us to be part of this, and we look forward for another engagement to your listeners all over the world.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Mm.
Thank you so much, George. And Sabit, your call.
Thank you so much, Mr. Moderator. My humble appeal goes to the following people. Number one, our fellow friends outside there who are living with disabilities, who are on the streets begging. I'm requesting them that let them not shame others. Yet there are so many government programs which they can also be engaged in, and they earn a living. And there are also so many other things to do outside there. Please let them go from the streets, they go and work. Because I'm so happy that it is only our body. We are lame within the bodies, but not the brain. And then secondly, to our parents who produce people with disabilities, that please accept your children. Because I, the one speaking, I'm a bastard because of my disability, whereby I never wanted. My mom just found it like that. So please, parents, guardians, and caretakers, accept people with disabilities to be part of your families. And the third person is the community members whom we are living with, whom we are living in. Please work with us, love us, because we are all created in the image of God. And this body, this is just a box where our spirits are just sits in. One day, one time, the box says we will die and rot, but we shall remain in spirit. So let us work together and cooperate. Now, the third person is let me say, both district and the city engineers to please consider people with disabilities when you are constructing buildings outside there. Make sure you put ramps so that it can be a reasonable accommodation for people with disabilities. And also to the policymakers, please consider people with disabilities so that your policies be disability friendly. And also our workmates to cooperate and work with us. As per now, thank you so much for hosting me. May God bless you.
Thank you so much for that call, and I hope it will be heard. I want to give this. There is a comment by Maylin. She says, inclusion should be intentional, but as persons with disabilities, we need to make ourselves visible. As a person with disability, I have been part of the team in Ministry of Education, and we designed the Accessibility Companion Guide for schools up to university level. My dream is that those coming after me should not suffer what I suffered while in school. Let it be implemented. And it was approved and launched in this year in July. Then we can groom future leaders and ensure sustainability. Civic education should be inclusive if we have meaningful participation in the coming elections, translated to accessible information to all. Thank you so much, Maylin, for that information. And again, I want to say Thank you so much, Kule Expedito, for making time for the conversation, but also for the amazing views you bring to the table. Mr. Ivan Sabiti, Vice Chairperson, Elgon Foundation for People with Albinism. Thank you so much for your views and for making time to join the conversation. Mylene Gamba, thank you so much. Peer Council and Chairperson, Spinal Injuries Association Uganda. Thank you so much for your views and for joining the conversation today. Dr. Naboth in absentia, thank you so much for your views and joining the conversation today. And indeed, Mr. George Sempangi Katumba, thank you so much for your views and for joining the conversation today. And on behalf of Civic Space TV and the wider Center for Constitutional Governance and all our partners, we pledge and promise that we shall continue to be part of the campaign that raises and amplifies these voices for inclusivity and creating a sustainable future for persons with disabilities, indeed as equal partners of the world. Thank you so much. I'm Philip Lisa. Special thanks to the technical team and special thanks to the Center for Constitutional Governance and our partners for making sure this is possible. And I should say good evening, and I shall see you next time.